video, we're going to talk about information security objectives, which is close to within the ISO 27001 standard. And I think that this is one of the most important elements of your management system if you want to have a management system that is run by data rather than by opinions. And first of all, what does the standard talk about? So in terms of clause 6.2, what the standard mentions is that we have to have information security objectives at relevant functions and levels. That these objectives have to be consistent with the information security policy. They have to be measurable. They have to take into account applicable information security requirements and results from risk assessment and risk treatment. They have to be monitored, communicated, updated, and there must be a document that is defining what these objectives are. And then, for each objective, we have to make sure that we are very clear on what will be done, what resources will be required, who will be responsible, when it will be completed, and how the results will be evaluated. So what do we mean by all of these things? What we mean is that, let's say that for the information security policy, we have stated that we are prioritizing the availability of the system. For example, let's say that we're a software development company and we're selling a SaaS solution, a software as a service solution. And let's say that we have identified in our information security policy that one of the things that we're considering is to have a strong uptime on our system. That would invariably mean that we need to have some type of objective relating to this uptime. What is a strong uptime? Is it 97%? Is it 99.9%? Etc. So we're going to define some type of objective that makes this that makes the information security objective in line with the information security policy, where we're setting out the vision, the strategic objectives, and the direction for the company. And to be able to meet the requirements for being measurable, being specific, I like to set up SMART objectives. Now, what does SMART objectives mean? Okay, SMART objectives relates to the idea of having specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely objectives. Okay, and I'm going to explain that in more detail very soon. Okay. And so when it comes to information security objectives, for example, we have to have customer satisfaction, like making sure that the information relating to customers is being considered. We can have objectives relating to key processes, like, for example, that 100% of the employees recruited are going to be screened, or that we're going to monitor information security incidents relating to our management system. Okay, so these can be from any department or section that is relevant to the information security management system. Now, specific means that we're very specific and clear about what are we considering. Measurable means that we are tracking this objective with an actual number, okay? And that they are attainable, meaning that we have the resources needed to be able to reach the specific objective. Relevant means that they are relevant to the information security policy and strategic direction of the organization, and that they are time-bound, meaning that we know by when this result is going to be achieved. So if, for example, we have an objective health-wise now that we want to run more, saying I want to run more is very vague and subject to interpretation. Like if I ran 100 meters last year, running 101 meters would make me run more, but maybe that is not the type of objective that we would want to set. If we turn that into a SMART objective, it would be specific in the sense that I want to run 5 kilometers, measurable, for example, having an amount of time, attainable. I'm currently doing 5 kilometers in 30 minutes, so reducing that 5 kilometers by 5 minutes is relatively attainable. Relevant, it aids my physical and mental health, so it's relevant to my overall strategic direction, and I want to achieve this within the next 12 months. So that is an example of a SMART objective. And if we were to consider the idea of information security objectives, here are some examples that we might want to consider. Okay, so for example, we have how many was the percentage of the company owned assets that are registered and running on an MDM, mobile device management solution. How many devices are going to be marked as not in compliance on Intune, for example, if you're using Microsoft Intune. How many of the MDM devices are running on a work profile, the value of the Microsoft Secure Score, how many people are going to be trained on information security, or how many hours are we going to train people on information security. We can have objectives relating, for example, to the notification time that we're going to allow to communicate with regulatory requirements. We can have objectives relating to the uptime, downtime, number of incidents, anything that we might see as relevant to our information security objective. And let's create an objective together, so we'll make sure that we're considering all the requirements. So let's take, for example, the idea of incidents. To reduce the number of incidents, of information security incidents within our organization. And our goal, for example, is to have less than 3 incidents per quarter. Okay? What are we going to do to reach this objective is that, for example, first of all, we're going to track our objectives, our incidents rather, and that we're going to take action to address the root cause of the issue. Okay? I'm going to explain the process for incident management later. For now, I'm just explaining that for each objective, we have to define some types of actions that we are doing to reach this objective. We then have to define the likeliness to reach, like how confident are we that we're actually going to reach this information security objective. So for example here, if from previous experience we know that we've been getting consistently 3 incidents per quarter, then it might be 100%. But if we've been having a large number of incidents, maybe this could go down to 60%, relating to our confidence of reaching this objective. And then we're going to assign this objective to anyone within the organization. Okay? Just as a side note, what Ms. Frog is doing over here is that, for example, if we've assigned this objective to the CTO, then that particular objective is going to be included within the job description of the CTO. Okay? So to reduce the number of incidents, as you can see, it is included over here. Okay? And including this information within your job descriptions makes sure that you are communicating this objective, like who is responsible, what resources will be required, the action needed is stating what will be done, when it will be completed is defined within the objective it says, and how the results will be evaluated. Well, if you're doing SMART objectives, you're just going to measure those objectives. So yeah, going forward when it comes to the objectives, that is all I had to say. And the most important thing is that when you are defining the objectives, then you're going to have some type of system for you to be able to track these objectives, okay? And a form that I like to use and that you should definitely include within your information security management system is a document to track your ability to reach these objectives rather than your ability, a document for you to be able to monitor how you are doing in terms of these objectives. So this is an example, okay? And over here we have a very simple Excel sheet. Like, so if before we've set an objective that we want to have, so information security objectives, one of our objectives is to reduce the number of incidents within our organization. So the category would be, for example, incidents. That is the objective. It should be less than 3 per, less than 3 per quarter, okay? And here we're going to just type how many incidents did we have in the first quarter. Let's say we've had 2, we've had 4, we've had 1, we've had 0. Okay? Then we can calculate the yearly average, as in the yearly total. We can also come up with the monthly average if we want. Okay? So it would be equals average for these 4 values, meaning that we have, in this case, a monthly average of 1.75. Okay, let me zoom in just a little bit for the benefit of everyone. Okay, so the incidents, here we're going to write the objective less than 3 per quarter. Each quarter we're going to input the value for each objective, calculate the yearly actual and monthly average. Now, what will happen if your organization fails to reach the objective that you would have set? So let's say that in this case, for example, you've had an objective of 3 per quarter, but somehow you got these negative results and you've got a monthly average of 6.25. That is not a problem for the standard, and you're not going to lose your certification for that. And that would most probably mean one of 2 things have to be done. You either were too optimistic when you were setting out the objective, and it would need to be changed, or else you need to deploy more resources for you to actually meet that objective. Okay? And in the case of a company having this type of result for a specific objective, so here we had to have less than 3, and we have 6.25 on average, rather than monthly average. This would be a quarterly average. Then we're going to say, okay, so we've had more than double the expected amount of incidents. What actions are we going to take to mitigate this issue of us not reaching our objective? So that's all I had to say as regards objectives. I hope that you found this presentation to be useful and beneficial for you to understand how to set up objectives that are relevant to your information security management system. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. I would be very happy to help you succeed on this journey of implementing and maintaining your ISO certification. Thank you so much.